So I'm going to show you how to get a video that you make, and we're going to put it into Logger Pro and analyze it. Now before we start, when you make a video, because you're going to have to do this in your very near future, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, you need two things in your video. One, you need something that you know the length of in your video. And you want to have this as close in line with the motion of the object that you want to measure. So meter sticks are handy because we have them here, but it doesn't have to be a meter stick. If you're videoing a freighter going through the strait or something, there's going to be much bigger distances obviously. But if you know the length of that ship, you can use that too. Or if it's really small, you can use something smaller. But you have to have some kind of referent in the videos that the computer can measure. The other thing you want to do is not move your phone around. So you want a video at 90 degrees to your motion. So we threw a tennis ball in, which I'll show you in a minute. And you don't want to follow the motion like you normally would, because that's going to mess everything up. The computer doesn't know what to do with that. Does anybody here know what frame rate is? Yara, right? Yara, right? Okay, Yara, tell us.
It's the amount of frames per second that the video displays.
Good.
The video is just like a bunch of pictures.
Right, yeah. So Yara's right. We don't really know how to replicate continuous motion, constant motion. A movie looks like constant motion, but it's not, is it? What is it really? Exactly, it's a bunch of still photos that we just show you really quick. And the human eye is a good eye, but it doesn't pick up that many changes per second. It's only about 10 changes per second that you can see. A housefly can see 10,000 changes per second, which is why it's hard to catch a housefly. The computer knows the time between each picture. So if we can give it an idea of the distance moved between each frame, it will get the time, and then it can calculate all kinds of neat things about that. Okay, you're going to take a video, and then you're going to get it onto your computer, and then you're going to open up Logger Pro, and you're going to press up here, it says Insert, and it's going to drop down a menu, and you're going to press Movie. And probably the first time you do this, you're going to go, where's my movie? It's not there. It doesn't exist. I thought it was there. It's not there. And that's because if it doesn't have a .mov extension or some kind of movie file extension, then the Logger Pro won't show it to you. And I don't know why, but every time you download it to a drive, whatever, it kind of chips off the .mov. So you might have to rename it and put the .mov back in there. So we made a little movie, and I said insert movie, and I've got my Tuesday Timbits here. Let's see what comes up. There we are, our class. Lucas is giving the thumbs up. I like it.
What am I?
A couple of things to notice about this. I'm going to show you all this stuff with all these buttons. And you're going to open up Logger Pro and you're going to get your video on here. And you say, where are the buttons? They were all right here, but there's no buttons. So there's a little toggle down in the bottom corner. I don't know why they hide the buttons, but they feel like they need to hide the buttons. So if you push this little toggle, it'll pop out your little button bar here. And now you have all the buttons that you need to use. Okay, so that's number one. The other thing to notice is on the bottom, there's this little playback bar. And you can just push play, and it'll play the video. Or you can click on the bar anywhere you want, and you can advance the movie forward and back. We can make Lucas dance here if you want to a little bit. Yay! And what you want to do with your physics video, if you're analyzing a motion, is you want to get to the point where the motion is just started. So we want to get it to the point where the ball is just leaving Lucas's hand. So let's scroll forward here a little bit, and I would say right about there. Now this is tricky because you can see already that tennis ball is hard to see already. It's about here somewhere, but it does get blurry. So if you're using something small, video close up, and if you have a choice, use something bright, and bigger is better. It's easier to see. Okay, couple things to do first. First of all, we have to set a scale. So here on the right side, there's some buttons that we're going to use. One of them looks like a ruler, and you're going to click on that one. And then when you move over your video, you have this little crosshairs. This is going to tell the computer some distance. So we're going to use this meter stick that Lucas is holding. And you're going to click, and you're going to drag, and you'll see this green line drags out. And we're going to see there. Its default is 1 meter, so that works for us. It doesn't have to be a meter. You can make it 10 centimeters or whatever you want. Okay, so now the computer knows this is 1 meter, and it can gauge everything else based on that meter. So that's our scale. One button up from that, it will say set origin. So now we're going to set the origin, and you'll see it's across here again. This is kind of a handy one because if you leave it, it will work, but the computer will say this is my Y and this is my X here. But maybe it's kind of nice if we make this 0. And so then our height will be from this. Or maybe you want to set 0 somewhere else. So you can click this here. And that's my origin now. So everything will be measured from this point of height and run. And if you want to, you can change the angle of this too. So if you have a ramp, if you're rolling something down a ramp or something, and you want it to be in line with the ramp, you can just change this angle. I'm going to turn it right around. I don't know why, just because. Just see what happens. Okay, so you get your origin set. Okay, now it's time to get some data. So the next button up under the arrow says add point. I'm going to click on that. And I'm going to find my object, and I'm going to go on the leading edge of it. And you'll find that as you click it, the object moves. Why does the object move when I click these points? That's right. The computer automatically forwards to the next frame. And so right now the computer is taking down all the distances and heights and times between each frame. Okay, we'll do one more point here. And he's making a nice catch. Now, you click here. And you have this nice graph. It's upside down because I flipped my origin around, but that's okay. We can change this. And one thing I want to show you is that if I click on this and you go, oh, where's my video? My video's gone. It's not really gone. These are 3 separate windows. So if you grab a corner of this, you can shrink it down, and your video is still there in the background. This is my data over here on the left, and you can pull this out if you want to see more data. And sometimes you have to scroll back to get it all. So you'll see in just a minute there, we've got time, and we've got X distances and Y displacements, and X velocities and Y velocities. And so that's a lot of data we got just in a very short time. If we want to graph these, we can graph different parts of this. So if you just click on your labels on the Y label, let's look at the Y velocity. Now this is going down because I flipped my origin upside down. If I go back in the video and I flip my origin around again, let's just see what happens. I'm gonna try that. I wonder if you can see it happening while you do it. I've actually never tried this before. Oh, I added a point. If you add a point by mistake, click on that arrow button, and then you highlight the point and press delete, and it'll go away. Okay, let's twist the arrow origin around and see what happens. So if you do that, make it right side up again, and then click back on your graph, now it's right side up again. So it's not perfect, but it's a pretty nice curve of our displacement. You can see the height. And if you want to know the height at a certain point, you can click here, and you can look at your coordinates in the corner, and it'll tell you the x distance and the y distance, so you can get a max height if you want. If you want to look at velocity, just click on this label on the left, and we can look at our y velocity. It's pretty, I don't know what's happening here, but something funny happened at the end. But it's a pretty linear velocity from beginning to end. And so you can get a... Is that the last points that I made? Let's see. Oops, no, I changed my... I made some funny points. Okay. One thing that you could do I must have put some points in there. Yeah, go ahead. If you want to look at just one part of the graph, like let's say you have a couple of points here that are way out, but I just want to look at this bit, just highlight that bit of the graph. And then if you go up here on the top, you have some analyzing buttons. And if you hover over the one with the straight red line, it says linear fit. So we can click on that, and that will give you the slope right away. So this is really handy, right? For an IB style lab, or even in university, a paper that you have to write in physics or chem or biology or geology, you can get a lot of data in a really short time, and you can literally just cut and paste this graph into your lab report. And it'll give you the slope, and it'll give you all the data. You can cut and paste your data table, put it right into your paper. And if you want to show them, you can do a screenshot of the video that you made. So it's pretty handy. This program, Logger Pro, comes with a bunch of sensors as well. So if you wanted to do a lab where you wanted to monitor pH in a soil sample or something like that, you could put that sensor and leave it connected to your computer, and you could see the pattern of pH in the soil over time. You can hook a voltage sensor to a solar panel, and you can see how that voltage changes as you move a light closer and farther away or something like that. We have magnetic field sensors, and we have motion sensors, and we have sound sensors. So there's a bunch of stuff that you can collect data with and then graph it. So there's lots of ways for you to do a design lab. Okay, I've talked at you enough. What I'm gonna have you do now is in 2 or 3s, groups of 2 or 3. I'm gonna have you go outside, find something to throw, video it, and try to get it into your Logger Pro. You got 5 minutes to go outside and make your video. Go.